It's like hanging out.
You're on.
Okay, are you sure? From my end, it doesn't show that. Is it showing from yours, Jess?
Yes, they can hear you. I can see you.
Hi, guys. Amazing. Well, I'm so excited to be with everybody today. I'm just going to work out one little technical thing. Miss Jessica, can you hear me?
Yes.
I cannot see Fred now.
Right here.
I know you are, but why can't I see you? I know
Are you on speaker view?
everyone can see us. My page
Yes.
is just the Zoom page, Miss Jessica.
I'm not sure.
Everybody just
Just have to pretend like you can see his face.
right where you are.
I can totally see both of you on the Facebook Live.
Okay, well, that'll be interesting. I feel like, oh, there it goes. I found him.
Oh, good.
I'm back. Okay, so everybody that's joining us right now, we are live with Fred Armisen, and you are out there supporting Acting for Kids and Teens. And we just want to say, like, across the nation, wherever you're joining us from, and especially local here in Portland, that all of us artists are stuck at home. You're not alone. We're all joining forces together to try to figure out how to stay in our creativity, continue our work, be the light, and we've asked Fred to come on board today with us to just offer a little bit of inspiration about what he's been doing to do that very thing, and maybe where his journey came from. So Fred, we all know you so well from Portlandia and of course Saturday Night Live and so many other things. Thank you for joining us today.
My pleasure. And we know you from Portlandia too.
That's right. I put a bird on it. I put a serious bird on it.
You were our very first sketch.
Isn't that fun? I tell everybody that was actually the pilot, and I remember being on set. It was so quiet on set, that first pilot. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
everyone was quiet. We didn't know like what it was like to get laughs. We're like, are people gonna laugh at this? We have no idea. We'll just keep going.
Yeah, I just remember thinking it was just so great. And tell us about what that was like to come to Portland and launch a show like that. For those of you that don't know, it's all shot in Portland, Oregon.
Yeah, well, Carrie Brownstein, my other half of Portlandia, lives in Portland and lived in Portland, and I used to just go up and visit her, hang out, walk around, and we had noticed stuff about Portland, and then we just started making videos. We just, for no reason, I was already on SNL, but we thought, let's just, record what it's like here, because it's very different than the rest of the country, or at the time it was. I think the rest of the country sort of caught up with Portland a little bit. I remember at the time we were like, what is this place? So we just started doing these sketches for no reason. We didn't have a goal in mind, and then little by little we had enough to sort of make a presentation for a pilot, and then we made the pilot with you.
Because I feel like I saw it on YouTube way back, wasn't it?
Yeah, we used to put it up on YouTube, but I couldn't figure out like how to make it something that would get momentum. I was just like, I guess I'll just put it up and see what happens. So it was early days, and this is before, I think, I guess maybe some people were good at it, but we didn't know how to like monetize it or like try to get it to go viral or anything. We were just making it for ourselves, really.
Well, I want to come back to that because I want to talk eventually about what it's like to make your own content, because I talk with my students all the time. I can't say this enough. Like, don't wait around for somebody to cast you. Start making your content right now. But I really have never asked you, and I've never heard you say that I can think of, how you got started as an actor. I mean, when you were a kid, was this at all on your mind, or was something else?
A little bit. The people I gravitated to, I always, I had heroes, right? So there's people who I wanted to be like, and they were always in the middle between like music and comedy. So really the people I admired the most were music people. They were like people in bands where I was like, oh, I want to be like that guy. And they were all very goofy and theatrical and weird. They were definitely always weird. So I always liked the weirdos out there. And I was like, there's got to be a way in. So I thought my way in was going to be through music. So I was a drummer and I played in bands and stuff. But I still had like a yearning to I was like, I want to be on TV. I want to do comedy. It was a really weird mix that I just kept going. There was no, I couldn't make sense of it, but I just wanted to be part of all the things that I loved. So
Right.
if there was like someone in a band who I loved, let's say Keith Moon, this drummer, or someone like that, or Mark Mothersbaugh, the singer from Devo, I was like, let me just keep going this direction. And that's all I did. It was as simple as that. But my way in was originally through music.
Do you remember your first, like the first time you got, you know, from music to acting, and that acting job, or that first thing that you're like, whoa, I'm really doing this. This is how
Oh
I,
yeah. It was a very specific thing where I was in a band for a long time playing music. Then I made this video where I would interview other musicians and stuff, and I did different characters. This is like 1998, and I presented it at a club in Chicago, and people wrote about it, and turned out there were more people than would come to see my band. So it was a
oh,
very literal thing where showing a video had more success than playing in a band. And then HBO asked me to do like little interstitial, like these little short videos for them. So that was like my first gig. And it was it was just a very literal thing where like one day I was only playing music, and then the day when HBO said, will you make these things? I was like, oh, I guess this is my job now. So for me, like the lesson I learned was to just read the signs. You know what I mean? Like
mhm.
I had to sort of see my environment and see my opportunities, and I was like, oh, I think this is the way to go.
And
And
when I hear you talking,
oh, go ahead.
when I hear you talking, I hear another thing that I think is so important is being true to what is real for you in your heart. Not you weren't trying to be like anybody else. You were doing what you love to do, and you just knew you had to keep doing it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and it's almost like not having a choice. I was like, well, I don't know what to tell you, but I want to make weird comedy and have music be a part of it, and I don't know what else to do. The thing was, it's the way I got to do it is also because I realized the things that I wasn't good at. I
Mm.
wasn't good at like regular stand-up comedy. I even think for me, I don't even think I'm great at drama, like really emoting and like no. I'm not saying it like, oh, poor me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
I
not,
just,
yeah, not your
I,
focus as much.
yeah, I'm just like, you know what? I think comedy is where I'm most comfortable. And there's plenty of people who could do drama. So I'm just going to, I guess, stay in my lane, you
Yeah,
know.
have you taken? When you said that, I was trying to think of like a drama that you've done
Not
where you
really.
played like a really serious. Because like Kristen Wiig's transferred over and does both, a lot of
Mhm,
drama actually.
mhm.
But I was trying to think of something. Is there anything you've done?
Not really. Little things that, even if they are sort of drama, it's always like in a sort of comedic role anyway. And
It's still in the vein of like we're still laughing at you in a good way.
yeah, it's like, yes, exactly.
You're
And
like the serious guy who's there to help. Yeah.
yeah,
I love
yeah. So I've been very fortunate with all that stuff.
when you were, yes, you have been very, very fortunate, and following your passion, that right there is just fortunate. Just, that's what I think about right now when I think about all these actors that are so talented and pursued their art and have stuck with their art, and with the coronavirus, and they're not working in the theaters, they're not getting to do even smaller shoots and smaller jobs, but
Yeah,
so sometimes there is that price to pay, when you do follow your heart and pursue acting, with some
yeah.
longevity like you have. Um, Getting back, I just want to kind of stay in this sort of like kid teen years. Like, what was like teen artist Fred like, musician like what were you? Did you grow your hair long? Were you?
No, 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 no. I was punk rock all the way.
Oh, were you really?
Oh yeah,
What did that,
and
what did that look like? Like a mohawk or?
mohawk. I had a mohawk. Yeah, would send a picture if I could, but
I'd
uh,
love to see that. I'd really love to see Mohawk Fred.
yeah, that was the deal. I was way into that. I was way into punk, and I guess like uh, punk bands and stuff like that, and punk drumming, and that was like my focus. That's all. I was like obsessed with it.
Did your family support your music and the arts? Did you find that your friends and people around you were like encouraging, or did you feel like you didn't fit in as much when you were growing up?
I was happy not to fit in. I mean, I had my friends and we were all kind of a little crazy. So I had a really good environment around me. And my parents were supportive in that they let me play drums in the house. So, they weren't like jumping for joy that I wanted to go into the arts. And I think that that's good. I think that like it's important to have people against you. You know what I mean? Because then you sort of fight for it a little bit more. So I like that my parents weren't like, hooray for you that you want to do art. They were
Right.
supportive. I mean, they let me play music, so it's not like they were against it, but they certainly weren't like, how can we help?
Yeah.
They didn't think of it as a very sort of legitimate way to live a life. And great, it's almost like that's their job,
Hmm. Hmm.
to say like, we're not into this.
Right. I think, I understand what you're saying too, because sometimes parents can get too involved and then you sort
Yes.
of end up with a kid that loses their childhood. I always tell parents, like, don't wish for your kid to be a star, like wish for your kid to be a kid that does acting.
Totally.
Yeah.
I also think that there's something, and this is my opinion, I like a little bit of a fight. I like a
Mm.
little bit of a like, it propels you forward to be like, to think that you're going against the odds. It's a
Yeah.
little bit, I think for some reason with me, it made me like a little bit stronger. Also to accept failures and to accept all that stuff.
Yeah. And to endure in the way that you have, and the way that any artist that's been at it this long has, you got to fight the whole time. It doesn't
The
come
whole time.
easy.
No,
Being
and by the way, it never ends. It
Yeah.
never ends.
Yeah. You're not just sitting around like, what big Oscar winning thing am I doing next? You're out there
No.
grinding.
And no, and what I've learned also is like, also people who are successful in this business who have met, they're all in the same boat. I don't know one person who's like, oh, I've got it easy, I don't even have to think about it. Everyone is, for lack of a better word, hustling. They're still like trying to get out there, trying to make sure that the right parts are, coming to them and stuff. So it kind of
Yeah.
never ends, which was okay. I'm sure it's the same for any job.
Yeah.
Where you've
Yeah.
got
Well,
a constant-
in pursuit of happiness, when you're in pursuit of happiness, you're working towards your craft. That is the pursuit of happiness, right?
Yeah.
To be working towards something is actual happiness, I think.
What pleasure. It's a luxury to keep working at something. It's
Yeah.
nice.
So tell me, let's get to that part now where, and I also have a bunch of questions I want to ask you from our students who are all watching. And thank everybody for sending those in. We love them. We love the questions. But I want
How did they send them in? They wrote them in?
Yeah, they wrote them in. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. So I want to ask you about making your own content. Like you started that way. You just made a video for your band. Was that like on a camcorder? We didn't film on phones in '98, did we?
No,
Handheld?
it was 8mm video.
8mm video. Yeah.
Yeah. So at the
Much harder.
time, that was like the, futuristic thing. But I mean,
Yeah.
people had them. It's not like they were rare or expensive, but Sony would have like some little camera that everyone had. So it was just as simple as that.
Yeah.
And it was, it was very much like Portlandia, where there wasn't a real goal. It was just like, I was like, I just like shooting stuff. So
Yeah.
I was really like into like a lot of prank shows, like on TV. That was another way in too. I was kind of like, oh, what's it like to do like sort of prank? Because this had a sort of hidden camera feel to it. That
Yeah.
first video I made.
When you and Carrie Brownstein went out and just shot some material, this is my favorite part of the whole story of Portlandia.
Yeah.
Because again, there is no reason we can't all be out making content. Our iPhones are built-in cameras. We have built-in editing device.
Yeah.
We have YouTube to display it on. So tell me about, was that structured at all, or you guys just went in like, I remember you guys were in a bookstore. Did you guys have an idea of what you were going to talk about and what part of Portland this was going to represent, or did you just go in and start playing around?
No, it started with our first thing I think we shot was about bicycle rights. Like we did these characters just riding through Portland, just saying bicycle rights. And it was just the two of us, and I don't know what it came from. We were like, it came from sort of like Portland is a very bicycle-y city.
Mm-hmm.
And there was no punchline to the sketch. There's not even a joke. We were riding around saying bicycle rights, And then we did the feminist bookstore, and that was based on the bookstore there. And I remember it was a non-for-profit, and I just didn't understand. This is me being a dummy, what non-for-profit meant. I was like, what does that mean, non-for-profit? Now I understand. But I was like, what's a good, what would the people who work there, what would they be like? And that's just, I remember I had a long gray-haired wig, because in Portland at the time, I remember thinking, and this is something that I love about Portland, because when people have gray hair, they let it fly.
Oh yeah, they do.
It's one rare city where they're like, we look like people, and we're just going to look like people.
Yeah.
So
and they're always super confident.
Absolutely, they're
Super
like
confident.
Yeah.
Like, hello, how are you today?
Yeah. Not only gray hair, a lot of gray hair, like big long things of gray hair, and they're just like, guess what? This is what we look like. I really love that, and so it was just based on that. So it was just our friend Patrick would just film us or video us and edit it.
Yeah.
That was
At
it.
what point, for those students out there who are, I mean, a lot of my students are making their own projects. They're writing their projects, they're shooting their projects. How did you go from, we have something that may or may not be funny, we want to pitch it and see if we can make it into something? Like you had it in, because Lauren Michaels in Broadway Video, were you able to send that to Broadway Video, or did you go through different channels, or how did that end up?
It was all the official channels, and it was like a matter of, I was on SNL, and this is very show busy, but this is how it is. My manager was like, what do you want to do next? And I was like, well, I don't know, but I do these videos with Carrie. Could this be something? He's like, yeah, go pitch it. Pitch it to Broadway Video. And they were like, sure, why don't you make a pilot? We pitched it then to IFC together. IFC were like, IFC actually, first of all, we pitched it, we're like, we have this weird show. Do you want to do it? We could shoot it anywhere. And IFC were the ones who were like, no, you should stay in Portland for it, because that's what gives it its flavor. So they, to their credit, they were like, keep this look. And then it was all paint by numbers, just sort of like, did a pilot, they liked the pilot, let's do one season, let's do another season, and then it just kept going for 8 seasons.
For our students that don't know, can you explain what it means, what you mean by a pilot? And so you pitched a pilot. Tell me the difference between those two things.
A pilot is very much like an audition. It's can you put together a show? Does it make any sense? Will it entertain people? Is it going to be funny? And then there's like behind closed doors, and this is something I don't even know about. There's also, I'm sure there's like a numbers game of like, are people really going to watch this? So it is a test. You make a pilot. Everyone goes, let's hope it goes to series, because that's what it becomes your job then. Someone edits it and you get nervous and you're like, have you heard yet? And you never know. And then all of a sudden they either tell you yes or no. And I've made plenty of pilots that never went anywhere. And it's just like an audition. And I actually like pilots, because you also get to see what your strengths and weaknesses are. So it's a good way to like, something, I'm glad we did this and it didn't go because this part of it doesn't translate, or it does translate. So it's a good educational experience.
You just hit on something that I forget sometimes about super famous celebrity cool people. And I'm sure my students forget it too, or maybe don't even know it, but you said it's just like going on auditions. You get some, you don't get some. So does that still happen? You still audition for things that you don't get?
Less than when I first started, but before that, that's wrong. That's right and wrong. So an audition isn't a bad thing, right? If I'm not meant to be in a certain part, great. No one's doing me any favor. If I'm not meant for something, great. But there are things that I've sort of been at a table read for, and then they got someone else for the part, and it's a different kind of audition. Where it's like, I was in the mix for something and then it didn't happen, and never am I sour. I'm still going through like, I can't believe I'm lucky enough to get to do this at all. But there've been little things where like, I'm like, clearly I wasn't the right person for that. And that's just part of it. So that never ends. And
wow. Have you always had that attitude, Fred? I mean, that's kind of remarkable, It's
just that like, I've been so lucky that for me to all of a sudden get like really like snippy about my career and like, that should be mine is like, that's bad news. Like, I'm
Right.
lucky. I'm not even a trained actor, and I got to do stuff. I'm a drummer, and I'm
Mhm.
not. I still think of myself as like this lucky drummer. So for me to say like that should have been me, to balance that out, by the way, stuff has landed in front of me that's like I had no idea I was even up for.
Wow. What was one
So
of the more shocking parts that came your way and you were like, me? Can you think of?
I think the Lego Ninjago one, I did this voice on like, I wasn't campaigning for that. Someone just said, "Hey, do you want to play this part?" Of this character Cole. So I didn't even know they were making it.
Yeah.
So it all balances out.
Yeah.
It
Tell
always
us,
does.
did you have to audition for Saturday Night Live? Were you one of the actors that did the whole process? And
Oh yeah,
do you remember what you did for your audition for them?
bunch of times I had to audition.
Oh, really? Okay.
Oh yeah, first you do it at a club, at a comedy club.
Yeah.
Then from there, I mean, first you send them video, so even that's an audition. Okay. Then I went to go do this comedy club, and then I came back to do it at the studio. So that's like the real audition. And I did some impressions and some characters. I did Felicito, this Venezuelan timbale player. Then I did self-defense expert. And I remember thinking, I can't believe I got this far.
Yeah. When you did the first audition, when you sent the videos in, were you doing stand up?
No.
Oh,
I was doing characters on a pilot that never went for Bob Odenkirk. So Bob Odenkirk used to have a sketch show that didn't go, right? That was a pilot. But from that video, it was me doing different characters. So we just sent that in. So I was lucky that I had enough video of me doing characters.
and then when you got in front of the studio, when you had to go in for another audition, who was watching you? Was there a big group or was it just a few people?
It was at SNL where
Yeah.
you do the monologue, which
I mean,
is
I was
crazy.
nervous as heck.
For me, it was too big. It was too big for me to be nervous.
Yeah, you were like, whatever, I'm here right now. This is,
I'm like, this is so improbable. Like, why, what am I doing here? I'm not doing pretend humility. I was a nobody.
I know you. I know you're not.
I'm telling you, I was like, what am I doing in this studio? It is a little bit like if I went to Yankee Stadium or where any major baseballs with a baseball bat, I wouldn't be nervous because I'd be like, this is too big for me.
Right.
So I just did my thing and I did my audition. And I think, well, not I think, Lauren Michaels was there, Tina Fey, some of the other producers. And I just went out there and I made sure that I really practiced. I really made sure that there were no loose ends.
You were
No,
prepared.
it wasn't a loose audition. It wasn't like, hey, I'm just going to feel it out. And it was very I made sure that it was precise.
Yeah. What monologue did you do or did you write it?
No, I just did Felicito, this guy who plays timbales, and he's like Tito Puente, and he just tells jokes, and then he ends the joke by saying, "I'm just kidding."
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I did a self-defense expert, this guy who gives bad self-defense advice, and then I did a couple impressions. Sam Waterston from Law and Order, and Vin Diesel, just because I wanted to do someone who was like a big Hollywood.
How do you sound as Vin Diesel?
I don't think I did a great job as Vin Diesel, but I just wanted to not, because my other impressions are like someone from Law and Order. So, but Vin Diesel has a thing in his voice, like he's got like a weird echo somewhere in his mouth.
I was gonna say it's very heavy.
Yeah, there's a sort of like deep, I don't know, whatever. I mean,
I met him and he smoked cigarettes the whole time. Talk to me.
I just kept it short and quick.
Yeah, and so you get the call, or how do you find out? Your manager or somebody from the show calls you and says, "We want you."
I remember that there was a whole bunch of us auditioning, and one of the producers ran up to me and said, "Can I ask you a question?" Like they pulled me aside, and it was contractual stuff that I knew then. I was like, they want to have a discussion.
Mm.
And then they called me later that night.
Wow.
On my little Nokia phone. This is 2002.
Your back pocket, just like this big.
It was one of these, like, you know, it looked like a shoe or something. It was just like, but
Kids and teens watching are like, I don't even know what's Nokia, what's a pocket. I don't know what they're talking about. I remember that.
yeah, this is 2002.
Yeah.
And I knew that my life was going to change, and then it did. Like that, from that moment, my life just, to be part of that world is the other thing I'm not making clear, is that how much I love SNL. Like,
Yeah.
I've always watched Saturday Night Live, always.
Mhm.
Every new cast, every version, I love it. It really spoke to me. That show speaks to me. I see that cold open now and then. I love SNL. I'm obsessed with it. I just, my mom was really into it in the 70s. Like, I remember her telling me, she'd be like, I love Chevy Chase.
Oh yeah.
So SNL, like, it has always been a part of my life. So for me to be a part of it, it was like, this was not a foreign world to me. This wasn't like, what is this thing? I was like, I'm still into it.
It's your tribe. It's your people. I love when I'm watching and I don't know you're going to be on, and then you just pop on in a skit. I'm like, hey, there
Yeah,
it is. It's
I never know
like
either.
family.
They text me like 2 days before or something.
Oh, great. I love that. I love that.
I do too.
It's really fun for all of us to hear kind of about your beginnings and how you get started. Because if you remember being, you know, well, maybe it's a little different for you, but certainly all the kids and teens that I work with, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, you know, it's always that feeling like, is this ever going to happen for me? And what I hear, at least now, when you're talking about that time period, is you always just felt so grateful for whatever was happening around you.
Yes.
That is an amazing attitude to adopt, you know, but a hard one, a really hard one.
Well,
Wonder, you know.
you know, I can't tell anyone how to think or how to be. You know, everyone's got their own process. I think for me, it was very day to day. So let's say, for example, I was a drummer. I remember being a struggling drummer. And then I did this one sort of stand-up character thing at a little cafe in New York City. I was in New York, and they were like, we're doing this variety show. Will you do a character? So when I did it, the happiness I got was just being part of a little scene. I was like, wow, I can't believe I got to play at this little Cornelia Street cafe, and there's other comedians on there. It's like little victories.
Mm-hmm.
And so I didn't think at the time, oh, this is going to lead to other things. I just thought, this is nice to have one night that I'm part of the comedy scene in New York. So that's all that is. But I'm not bragging. I'm just saying that that's my process with stuff. You know, if someone is ambitious in a different way, different stuff works for different people.
Oh, I mean, absolutely. I guess I just really relate, and as a teacher to acting students, you know, as an actor and a teacher, I relate to feeling that, you know, just anytime I get to perform, it's the love of art, it's the love of performing and just being in it. Like, even if I don't have, I'm just in a scene where it's about somebody else, which is sometimes the case on Portlandia, you know, just the joy of like being in it.
Yeah.
Comes through you, and it really ignites in my artist spirit, for sure. We talk a lot about that in class, your artist spirit and like what ignites it. So
the other thing that I think works is getting to know other people. So for me, the thrill is, you know, a lot of people are people I wouldn't normally have worked with, and then all of a sudden to be on a stand-up comedy show with some comedian from Detroit, you know, when would I ever meet this person? And all of a sudden I'm watching their comedy, their version of stand-up, and that's the best. That's the best for me. And let's take, for example, my relationship with you. You know, there we were in Portland somewhere. I mean, I'm acting with you. That's great. That's like you know, I mean, maybe we would have met another way, but that's how we met. And that's like working with a stranger, acting with a stranger is kind of pretty crazy and great. So that's the part I like about it, is like a new connection.
yeah, and that's the cool thing about getting to work on the show too, is you and all the guests that came on that I got to work with and that I heard came on were so much like you. They were very accessible, very relational. You know, I remember meeting Jane Lynch, And
Oh yeah.
I don't really get starstruck, you know. I mean, I've met John Travolta, who was my idol, you know, Danny from Greece. So I was like, once you do that, you're like, man, I'm gonna be good.
Yeah.
But I saw Jane Lynch and I was like, oh, Jane, I mean, I love you. And she goes, get over here and hug me right now.
Oh.
That is the kind of people that you brought on the show. And I find that's, you know, when people have that spirit, that great attitude about them, that sense of service and imagination, wonderment, they surround themselves with that too. So
Yeah.
it was very evident.
She's one of those people who enjoys doing it.
Yeah, I really love her a lot. Love her work as well. So I guess one of the things I'm wondering right now, and I do want to get to those questions, is as an artist, you are not working right now, right? Like not, I mean, you may be writing, but you're not on any productions or shoots. So you're at home a lot. I'm assuming.
Yes and no. I did a voiceover for Big Mouth, you know, the Netflix.
You did?
Yeah, I did it from home.
Oh.
But I think they were also, the show was also trying to be like, let's keep going. This is an animated show. So, but at the same time, no, I was shooting something in Chile and we got shut down. So yes and no. Like the job I was working on, my main job for this HBO show got shut down. And then, but then I filled it in. I got to do this Netflix, the voiceover thing.
Well, I know you'd be very creative in a lot of different ways. Like I remember the first rap party at Portlandia, you got on stage and just started doing impressions of people in the crew and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I fell out of my chair. So what kind of things do you think you could recommend for the kids and teens who are artists at home who maybe want to try to play around to, like you did, just play around with stuff? Do you have any ideas or tips of what things they might be able to do while they're at home, like not going anywhere with all of this happening?
Well, I would say not being able to go out is like a real asset to us. I'm going to call it us artists, because I think we all like watching stuff. I'm going to say that there's value to that. There's value to seeing what you're drawn to, what kind of acting you like to see. I am blown away by TikTok. I'm not on TikTok. Like I don't have, but whenever I see these videos, they are so funny that it gives me faith in humanity. I'm like, how are people this funny so naturally? So I think for the obvious thing, of course, to make videos, that's a clear solution. But I think there is also value to just watching things that you're drawn to. Like why does that show work? Why does this actor affect me? And this is going to sound kind of negative, but I mean it as a positive. I like sometimes looking at things that I don't like, just to kind of see like, okay, I want to steer clear of that. Here's something that is not for me. That's another little thing you can do. It's a weird exercise, but I sometimes realize that I've been doing that all along. Like I'll just see something and I go like, that's something that it's not, something that I'm into, and good thing to keep in mind, like an acting style or something.
Yeah, that's really interesting. A lot of times we work with scripts at the studio that aren't good, because I say you gotta know how to work on those too when you're starting out. You gotta know how to be able to perform material that's not for you when you're starting out, and then eventually you of course get to make decisions about what kind of artist do I want to be down the road, and who am I, and play around with it in the beginning though. Figure out by watching lots of different things what you're drawn to.
Yeah, or even for yourself, even if you don't exercise this, there's also like fixing dialogue to see if like, well, how would I say this? It's just an exercise. You don't have to make it official. You don't have to like go back to the writer and say, I'm changing your lines, but like something to kind of like get to know what words you're comfortable with, what sentence structure you're comfortable with, just for fun, I guess. We have plenty of time, I guess.
Well, I love that, because what you're advocating for is being ourselves. You're advocating for finding out who we are and our own uniqueness, which is your biggest asset as an actor. There is no other Fred. Like there isn't, so you've totally encompassed who you are, and you take the time to figure out who you are, which makes you an even better performer in all ways. What was your favorite, a couple of your, maybe now or maybe then, some of your favorite kid movies? Like I love Goonies. I will forever be a Goonie,
Oh, kid movies. You mean like when I was a kid, what did I like?
Yeah, maybe. Or I mean, I still like, I just watched Stand By Me the other day. I still love that. I love Breakfast Club, 16 Candles. Was there anything that you?
Breakfast Club, I really, really loved. I love Breakfast Club. And I think that Vacation, the Chevy Chase movie,
Oh, yes.
will always, always resonate with me.
Oh,
It always works. I don't remember going to the theater over and over again to see it, but I have a memory of seeing it a lot. So I don't know what happened, but like, I just love that movie.
would you ever do the remake?
Um,
Or do you love it too much?
I don't know because sometimes I talk a big game if I'm like, I would never do this. But if an offer came up, then I'd be like, well, wait a minute. It's so weird, like thinking how, you're such a hero when you turn down stuff. And but I'm just like, I like working. I like doing stuff.
Absolutely.
Maybe it's fun.
Especially if it's well written. Like, yes, please.
It's a good thing. A big thing for me is location. So sometimes I say yes to stuff because it's like shooting in Prague or something. I'm like, oh, I don't care. This
Yes.
is like, sounds fun to be in another country acting.
You're shooting Los Spookies, right? Is that,
We were shooting in Chile.
oh, that's what was shooting in Chile.
Yeah.
That's what was shooting in Chile. Wow.
It was
Yeah.
but what I have to remember is it's good that we got shut down. We got shut down for a good reason. It's like,
Mhm.
if it helps people stay healthy, we'll get back to it. But,
Right.
it's just a show. So like, it was all for good reason.
Yeah. 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 I mean, it's really hard to have too bad of an attitude about it when the whole entire world is in the same position.
Isn't it weird how
Yeah.
like global it is? Like
Yeah.
everybody. I don't think I've ever experienced anything that was this literal and this international.
No, I haven't either. And that's why I love when the kids, they're joining me online, the kids and teens are joining us online, and we're all just able to kind of just collectively acknowledge that. And I can't wait to see the art that's birthed out of this sort of era that we're in, this time
Yeah.
that we're in. I
Yeah.
think it's going to be explosive. I think people are going to have some beautiful work out of this. So I can't wait to see
Oh
that.
yeah.
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 Okay, let's find a couple of questions.
All right.
Some of our fabulous audience members have asked us. I feel like a talk show host today. Okay. Do you have advice for someone who's a little shy in real life but has no fear when acting? Good.
Well, first of all, so do you want to tell me their names or anything like that, just so that they could hear their own name, or does it?
I mean, I would love to. It looks like Libby.
Okay,
Is that you,
Livy.
sweetie? I think it's
Okay,
Libby.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if they want. I'm just
I
trying to.
think they write us and talk to us
Okay.
online all the time. I mean, normally they're here with us. So
Advice. It sounds like this person is already doing great. Like if you know you're shy, and then you're doing great on stage or on camera, it sounds like you're in good shape, and you're in good company. I know many people that way.
really, who might we be surprised about that is shy, that we wouldn't know that necessarily from potentially just seeing their work online or on the show? Can you think of anybody that's a little more shy?
It might be too name droppy for me to be like, actually, but just trust me, it's many people. It's
Yeah.
many people. And comedians too, like who are like not always trying to do bits. They're sort of, quiet. And then when they get on stage, it's a different story.
Well, you're not gregarious. You're not.
No, I'm kind of my own kind of introvert as well. So
Mm-hmm.
although I don't know if when I perform, I'm really that outgoing anyway. I still kind of play it a little, I don't know.
One thing that I've noticed about actors who come down to the studio who are shy, but not as much in their work, is I just say, courage is doing it anyway, right? You know that, I know that. Like, it's not about like we have some superpowers, you have some superhero status. You just do it anyway, whether it's good or bad, you do it.
Totally. And then it's done. And then what's weird is sometimes you think you did something great and it's not the case. And sometimes you think you did terribly, and then apparently, people
works.
like it.
Yeah. Oh, I love this question from Lily. I think Lily is probably, I think I know which Lily. She's a filmmaker and really an aspiring filmmaker, just wrote a short film and is out there putting that together. She says, what's the difference in direction for actors from the director in television versus feature film? So I think she's saying, like, what's it like to be directed for TV versus being directed for film?
That's a very, very good question. I think that in film, because they do so many more angles, in my experience, and there's like longer setups in between, that they take it a little bit more slowly. So on TV, there's a little bit of this feeling of like, we got to get through this day. Let's just get through it. I feel like it's a time thing where like my TV experience, especially with something like SNL, it's like there's 3 cameras already, and it's usually like, that's good enough for now. Well, I think we're good. Film, and I have to say, it kind of drives me crazy sometimes because I'm like, boy, we're really getting this shot, over and over. I'm not complaining, but I'm saying film is a little bit of a slower process, and the directing reflects that.
I love that I was there for your I think it was your directorial debut, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Portlandia, the episode that I was on that you directed.
Yeah.
How'd you like directing?
It was okay. I don't like directing if I'm in it. I think I'd prefer it if I wasn't in it, so I wasn't thinking about what I was doing, but it was great. I mean, fun, I'm glad I had the opportunity.
Yeah, I'm glad that I was there for that. Okay, Alan says, oh, what is or was your favorite acting role?
Okay, I'm gonna answer without thinking.
Okay, good.
I did a thing on Last Man on Earth, the Will Forte show, where I played, by the way, that show is about a virus that wipes out all of humanity, but there's some people left over. And I played this guy who broke out of prison, but dressed up as a prison guard. So I was like, hey, I was a prison guard. And there's something about that I was actually a cannibal. I was actually eating people. And there's something about it that I just loved. It was just crazy. It was just a crazy part. So I really enjoyed that one.
Oh, that's so great. I'm going to tell you, besides Portlandia, because obviously I'm a little bit biased. I love you as, well, I think, I don't know the official name, but you play like a Lawrence Welk with Sisters.
Oh, yeah. With Kristen Wiig and
And Anne Hathaway, and you slay me.
Yeah.
I must have seen it a million times. That role, that whole skit, and you in that, I'm done. I'm done.
Aww.
I'm out.
I'm glad you like it.
So good. Okay. Oh, Brody says, can you do some impressions for us?
Okay.
Way to go, Brody.
Wait, but is Brody still on? Like, you have to request them.
Well, I'm not getting these live because we have to switch formats. So, yeah, you get to just use, you get to like.
No, it has to be a request because I like doing impressions of people I never do impressions of.
Okay.
Because then if I do it poorly, then it's fun anyway. So I like.
Jessica will text us and let us know while we're on if, oh, here, hold on. She's got a chat. Let's see. Oh, more questions. Okay. Good. So Jessica, while you're out there, see if anybody has any requests for Fred. What about Jimmy Fallon? Can you do Jimmy?
Best thing I've ever seen. Funniest thing I've ever seen. Best thing. But dude, that's him in real life. I like. He's such a funny person, but like in person, he likes recommending stuff. So I'd be like, best record I ever heard. Did you hear this record? Best band I ever heard.
You know what's so funny about that? I was telling you, I was watching earlier. I was watching some you and Jimmy, and I think he was like going to recommend some good drinks to you right after you told him you don't drink. He's like, "Oh, I got a great drink for you."
He is funny as hell.
He really is. He's my only celebrity crush, probably. Okay, I have Mickey Mouse and Howard Stern.
Mickey Mouse and Howard Stern. Okay, Howard Stern. Howard Stern likes to recount something about the night before, and he'll do it and talk about like how he's just annoyed with something. So like, I went to this fundraiser yesterday, and this guy makes me wait for an hour before we get any food, and I'm starving. And this guy, I thought, get me out of here. Why do I come to these things? Why do I go? I like him telling stories about how people drove him crazy. This guy drives me
Oh.
across the bridge, and I go, I don't want to go. I don't want to see this. So that's my Howard Stern.
And then I always love Robin. That's like, well, Howard, maybe he was trying to get to work. She's so practical.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Some
She Robin kind of like, she does a thing where there's quotes around the words. So she'll say like, well, that's because it's one of those celebrity influencers. That's because that's one of those. Well, they're an influencer. She sort of puts quotes, like she'll get a phrase and like sort of make it louder than the rest.
Right.
Mickey Mouse. Hey everybody. Oh.
Somebody asked if you can do Katie O'Grady. Do I have a way?
Oh, well, there's a thing to your head where you do tilt your head, and I'm thinking of that first sketch, but there is a sort of presentational thing that you do with your head.
That's true. You're right. It's really, I know, it really annoys me.
Yeah.
Whenever I'm in pictures, I'm, yeah, tilting my head, tilting,
Yeah.
we're tilting. That's really fun. That's so great. Okay, let's see. I liked that. That was really great. I could watch you do that all day. I think you should just do, like, you know how people are doing live living room concerts and playing music? I think you should just do live impressions from
I
like,
should do impressions, yeah.
are you were on Instagram, but do you have more, like, I follow you, but do you have like a public one that people can kind of tag you on and follow?
No, that's my one. It's not a private one, and I don't do it enough. Some people are so good at it. They update every day. I kind of keep it, I just do like announcements or some work stuff. And but lately I've done a couple of those live feeds with other people. Like Melissa Villasenor did something, and Tim Heidecker. So once in a while I'll sort of go onto someone else's.
So I can't spell it, but it's SORD
Sordo Ciego.
Yeah, okay. So they could go find you and follow you.
And also, people, if you don't follow me, it's okay. I know it's not the most exciting. Sometimes I look at it, I'm like, what? I'm like, I'll just talk about some old guitar or something, and I'm just like, so anyway, my feelings won't be hurt if you don't follow
me. Mine will be, yes. Okay, this is a really good question, and I love this one. This is from Stephanie. She says, do you recall any mistakes you've made as an actor or an artist that ended up being a great learning experience that you could share with us? Shout out to Stephanie.
That's a really, really good one. Yeah, there's a million. The first one I could think of is just like how many sketches I did on SNL that went to dress rehearsal and got no laughs. So the lesson I learned, the early days, I was like, they did it wrong. The sound guy the camera angle wasn't right. But it comes down to like my own writing and really my own ego. So like you get on SNL and you're a little bit like, yeah, I must be special. And then you write a sketch that doesn't go. And the sound of a whole audience not laughing at your joke that you thought was hilarious is like, it's like a thud. It's like a deafening like vacuum of sound. And I've just learned that that's not a bad thing. It's just like, Fred, start again, get rid of that idea. That one didn't work, and you'll have other ideas. So that was it was a learning thing of like having faith in yourself, of like, that's going to be you made a mistake, and guess what? There's next week, and you come up with a new idea.
Are you able then to do the opposite when you're nailing it and the audience is going crazy? Are you able to be like, you know what, I kind of just crushed that. That was pretty dang amazing.
No, because the problem is you think that you can repeat it, right? That this magic thing. And unfortunately, Monday comes and you're just like, you're sort of at square one again. So even that's its own good lesson, but like you can't, it's also probably not good for you to sort of wear your successes like that. Like, that was great. It's like, I've seen this about bands, that it should be like a newspaper. It's just like a daily newspaper. Move it, throw it out. If other people enjoy it later, great, but just keep it going. Just, it's okay to just don't think about what you did, to think about what you do.
I tell my students, and for any kids out there listening, I love this. I sort of adapted this 24-hour rule where something really great would happen. Got on Portlandia, right? For 24 hours. I'm like, I'm a star. This is amazing. It's going to be the best thing in my life. And tell my mom, tell my dad. And 24 hours, go back to work. And
I'm so with you.
yeah, the same
Brilliant.
thing. I don't get something. I'm awful. I'm terrible. This is the worst thing. I'm going to quit acting. This sucks. 24 hours, go back to work. It's always about the work. Always.
Yeah. Yes. And the stuff that is the most valuable will, it'll sort of last as a memory anyway.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I loved Documentary Now.
Thank you.
Wow. What a great show. Are you guys going to shoot more seasons?
Yeah.
Sweet. Yes.
Whenever we're allowed out again.
Yeah, right. I had one of my really good students, Bobby McKenzie, was in the, do you know Bobby? Do you remember Bobby? She came on and was doing the episode that you guys won a Grammy for the singing. Gosh darn it.
You were the 90s?
No, sorry. This was Documentary Now. Documentary
we
Now.
didn't.
You guys, didn't you win a Grammy for the song? Gosh, or maybe it was.
No. I think, are you thinking of the most recent one with the like Broadway show recording?
Yes.
Yeah, I think they got an Emmy nomination.
Oh, nomination. Okay. It was the Broadway one. Yes. Oh, that was so great. If you guys are out there and you haven't seen Documentary Now, you must see it. The Grey Gardens episode, I love it. So fantastic. You did a great job on that. That whole series is phenomenal.
Thank you.
Yeah, love it. Okay, let's see. What else do we have?
Something came up that said, any tips on not breaking character? I don't know why it's coming up on my thing.
Oh, good. Oh, yeah, because it's chatting. I'm on 2 different screens. So,
okay.
Yeah,
that
is a good one, Fred, because we laugh. Like, things are funny. Or how do you stay in character and not break? Do you have any?
I just try to either focus in on something physical, like a piece of tape somewhere or like a shoe or something, or but it's not always easy. You might think that I don't break character, but that stuff gets edited out.
Yeah.
So but otherwise I just try to focus on something.
Have you seen, this is one thing that I try to tell actors too, like talk about actors mess up their lines, and like you said, they break character and they don't get it right all the time. I sometimes think that my actors are like, I'm gonna go to set, I'm so scared, what if I mess my line up? What is your experience with that?
I have, we did Documentary Now in Portlandia, and it's been a comfort zone for me because I can change the lines a little bit. But when I'm on someone else's job, I gotta say, it is kind of hard. And I do have to over prepare. And it's the one part that I don't like, I'm not thrilled about, that I could get it wrong while people are waiting for me to get the lines right. And sometimes there'll be some long run where I'm like, oh man, I hope I get through this. By some miracle, then it does happen. But it is the part that I think that I have to work the most on, where the night before, I've really got to record it and do it over and over and over. Mostly out of embarrassment. I just don't want some crew guy holding a microphone for half an hour waiting for me to memorize it. So it is, it's something to worry about, but for me, I have to make sure that I work hard on it.
2 things. One, as I say to my students, it speaks so highly to think of the crew and the people that you work with. They're there before us. They're there a lot longer after us.
Yes.
It speaks so highly of you to acknowledge that. And then the other thing is, how do you prepare and memorize your lines? Do you have a secret tip, or do you said record it? Is that something you, like a handheld or?
There's a couple things. No, just on my phone. Sometimes I'll record everyone's lines.
Yeah.
Right. Then sometimes I record everything but my own lines, and I just try to fill it in. And the speed always tends to be, but if I keep doing it, it's not fun in the moment, but I do hear myself start to just say things without having to think about it. And then there's just looking at the page over and over. And then I just try to walk around. I try to catch myself off guard. I'll be driving, I'll be like, okay, do the lines now. And I was just like, okay. So it's a lot of repetition.
Over and over and over again. There's an app too that I used for a little while called Line Learner, where you can record other and then it plays them back and it skips a beat while it has yours. Have you heard of that one?
No.
Yeah,
I like that.
it's pretty good. It's called Line Learner. But that's one thing that actors ask me a lot. I always put actions to mine and then, you know, like a beat and put an action to it because my body memorizes the action quicker than the line.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because I struggle. It's not super easy for me for whatever reason.
No, same here. Same here. But
Here's an awesome question that Ella has. She says, where did it go? Like, oh yeah, here we go. She wants to know how you tie music and acting and what your favorite connection is between the two. She's one of my master's students, so I love your question, Ella.
oh, that's it. It's a very easy answer. I just do fake bands. So like for documentary now and for SNL and for Portlandia, I just did a bunch of fake bands where I get to act as a certain character and then write a fake song for it, play the fake song. So it's everything mixed together of everything that I love, because the song doesn't have to be taken seriously. I don't have to think about, oh, is this going to be a meaningful lyrics? And then I get to play somebody else and then sing like someone else, or that's where it lives the most. And it's been throughout my whole time at SNL and Portlandia and everything.
Do you play other instruments? I mean, I know you play the drums. I mean, we see you all the time on sets.
Guitar and bass.
Yeah.
Drums, guitar. Drums are my main instrument, and then some guitar and some bass.
Are you in a band? Still?
Not really.
Privately, like
I mean, I play with
living room
I play
concert.
I play on Seth Meyers' band, you know, for Late Night with Seth Meyers, and I do that every month or so. But that's kind of where it lives right now, which is a lot. I mean, every other month or every month to play for a week is that's a lot of playing.
Yeah. Well, I know we don't have a lot of time left, Fred, and
Wait, I have a question for you. Is this Zoom working for you?
Yeah, and everybody's watching live on Facebook.
Well, I just did it. We did a test run for Late Night with Seth Meyers, and they were telling me my Zoom wasn't working. I'm gonna go back and yell at them and being like, it worked perfectly great.
I have to give a shout out to our program director. She had us up online like the day school was canceled. Like our whole program went online, and she's just like on it. You tell them to call her.
Imagine how great Zoom feels right now. They're like, wow, we have a real company all of a sudden.
It's great. Yeah, we've been using everything. Normally you would see, you know, all the kids and we can scroll through them. But Fred, just a testament to how loved you are, even in those young generations. Like we just had such a huge outreach of people that wanted to listen.
Oh, that means a lot. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Well, it means a lot that, so, you know, I spend a lot of time plugging away. You always are so kind and listen to me talk about the students and everything. And I spend a lot of time plugging away in this program. And I told everybody on the news this morning, I said, you know, I just asked him, and he was like, yes. And that's a big deal. You know, you've got a lot of things that you're busy doing, and to take time out for.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I get a lot out of it, and anything for Portland, anything for students. I mean, come on, it's my pleasure.
So before we go, tell me some of your favorite things about Portland, restaurants and, you know, favorite bookstore and part of town to live and activities. And
I like when I drive over the bridge and I could see the hills, and it looks like no other place. Like the way that the hills even look, you know, they're almost like exaggerated. And I love that it's overcast. I love that Portland is like a little cloudy and dark green. I love like dark green. Like this Portland to me looks like this color. And I love the humility and it's like a sort of like hardworking quietness to it. It's as opposed to just being flashy, and it's sort of I like its sort of like internal pride. As touristy as this sounds, the quality of the food, the best.
It really is. It really is fantastic. What's your favorite spot to eat at, or a couple spots that you love?
I like Tasty and Sons. I like Toro Bravo, Screen Door. I like finding some also some place that I haven't seen before that like I haven't heard about. There's so many. I also like the whole bicycle situation. I also like how it everyone's just trying to do their best. They're like, we're gonna try to make this a great city. I like for some reason like the hospitals there even seem like I don't know how to describe it. I'm like it the soccer stadium and everything almost looks like a little European, like it's like a little bit of like I don't know, Switzerland in the United States.
Oh,
I've
that's
never
sweet.
I
That's so
hope that's the healthy thing
sweet.
to say.
That's so sweet. Would you ever live here? Would you ever come and live here full time?
I mean, I do. I still have a place there.
Mhm.
Oh my God, that makes me sound like I'm bragging. I have so many places.
Which
Like,
house are you at today? You know.
it's just an apartment, and it's just from when I was working there. So I try to go up when I can. 80 Bryant was working up there, so um, I just have so many friends there and stuff that it's like it's literally a second home.
Yeah, her 80s show Shrill. We love it.
Great. Yeah, it's great.
Big
Yeah.
fans. Yeah, big fans. Big fan of you. I knew you to be very humble and kind and simple and quiet and very talented. But getting to talk with you a little bit about your beginnings and hearing more about your process has made me just an even bigger fan of yours. And
Well,
honestly, thank you for what you've done for so many of our artist community in Portland. You are beloved in this city from our community. We do feel like you're part of our family. And so many kids and teens that went and worked on your show, Fred, that came back and they're like, "Oh, he's awesome. We love him. And we love the show." So,
it helped me very, very much. It's like a very mutual feeling. It's absolutely mutual.
well, tell Jonathan and Carrie and everybody that we all said hello and we miss them very much.
I will.
And we can't wait for y'all to come back on your next project. And I can't wait to follow you. And thank you again. And thanks for everybody for tuning in with us. Fred, do you want to say anything to all the kids and teens out there?
I'm just so happy that you're interested in acting and comedy and drama or whatever it is. I'm so happy about that. I can't wait to see all the work you guys do. And also, Katie, whenever you want to do this again, we'll figure it out another time.
I would love that. That would be outstanding. It would be really fun to do again. We may have to if we stay inside for too much longer. We'll think of some other. We'll think of some other things to chat about. Yeah. Let us know if you want to do a class on writing or improv. We'll put you online, Fred.
Okay, great.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks to everybody. Mwah. Bye out there. Mwah. Bye.
Thank you.
Mwah.